disappear. Sometimes we play with that person, we always look at the bad thing they do. We don't look at the goodness. So that's why we have difficult time on equanimity. So even though that person have 10 bad things, but they have one goodness, you should look at their one goodness instead of the 10 bad things. Right? So one of the Sutra the Buddha taught that you should look each person with their goodness, not the bad. When you look at their bad, then you will listen, you will get angry, you get upset. Right? So always find their goodness and to try to get close to them. Right? Sometimes they don't want to be bad, but that's their habit. That's the negative energy force them to do it. Just like the story about 2 days ago, there's a father joined the 4 little kids. They have an accident and the 4 kids are about to die. So sometimes people joke about why the father drink the medication and join the children. So if we look at that negative way, then we blame the father, right? But we should look deeply at this positive, this negative. So I will look about the positive way to see how they deal with their family. So we live in a world where duality is very difficult for us in challenge to accept, but we have to learn to accept it. Right? Because everything has a cause and effects. Sometimes we have a difficult, rough time, but we have to overcome it. That's make us strong. Right? Make us have more compassion, more loving kindness. But it's also challenging us. Right? So it's very difficult time. But sometimes we cannot do anything about it. We have to do it. Everything has a cause and effects. Everything is will come and goes. Everything is a lesson to talk to teach us next time not to drink any medication or drugs or alcohol to dry. So there's many causes around that. Sometimes we see the world suffering, right? That suffering helps us to be strong. We cultivate more compassion, more love and kindness. So it's also helps us to realize ourselves more, how compassionate you are. What if the person we did not like, the enemy, and they do have that accident? We probably don't have any feeling. If a person we don't like, if it's something terrible happened to them, we don't feel anything. So sometimes we have to let our mind to see the suffering inside everyone. That's why the first dukkha the Buddha taught is the suffering. Right? If we have no suffering, there's no happiness. So inside of our suffering, we have happiness there. Anybody have any suggestion? Anything I'd like to share?
I have a thought that sometimes like the people that I've known in my life that might have I've had difficulty with,
Mm-hmm.
and all of this training I'm doing for myself and meditation, I try to think about how they are like us, but they may not be in the same situation or learning. You know, it's not that I'm here and they're here. They might be here and I might be here.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find is that people who I have the most difficulty with are maybe the people that are suffering more than I know. And there's a lot of ego that they exhibit. And if you can think, like, for me, it's like thinking past that. Is that they're a human being and they could be suffering internally more than I will ever know. And so I try to be compassionate to a lot of ego, there's probably a lot of suffering because they're compensating for what is hurting inside or what they may or may not be aware of. And it's kind of hard to describe, but it's a feeling I get when I think of those things, when I'm thinking of someone who might be struggling internally in their minds or in their hearts, that when I see a lot of behaviors that are not good, there's a lot of ego, and they're hurting probably. And I'm just having the compassion thinking about, how listening to what they're saying, and if you have a relationship with them, you can say, I've heard you say this, I'm, concerned, I wasn't sure what you meant by that. Can you tell me, what you mean by that? And sometimes that helps with the communication. It's kind of like all over the board, but.
I get it. Thank you.
Anybody have something to share? Yes.
I struggle with that as well too. But for me, it's not so much somebody has symptoms or somebody's turning to substances or things like that. It's more of just say, not very humble, inconsiderate. I've been in situations where I've tried to reach compassionately towards others. But some of the people I've seen or talked to in my life kind of shun me. So I get to a point where I just shut people out of my life because I get tired of that arrogance that some people might have. I just feel like this isn't a very compassionate and good thing to say, but sometimes I feel like they're being obnoxious on their part, and they're not being very considerate, or some people are constantly seeking the external drive, validation from others, instead of seeking it internally. And so if they see something that's a little bit different from them, they like to put other people down. So those types of people I just try to walk away from because I don't feel like I have a commonality with them. And it's sometimes kind of frustrating for me living in society and living in a world where not everybody is empathetic and compassionate. So for me, it's easier to shut people off.
How do you shut people off?
Well, yeah, like if somebody, as an example, if somebody said, I'm so much better than you because A, B, C, and D. Tell them how I feel, but they don't want to listen or hear, so I just shut them out, delete their phone number, delete their text, delete everything, and I just walk away, and I get tired of people like that. It's just tiring for me because I feel like I try to compassionately connect with a lot of people. So when I see people do that, sometimes I am not as patient. Not as patient for people like that because I try to think of people's perspective. Like when I say things, I try to use kindness and compassion and diplomacy. I try to be politically correct. I'm very careful about how I say things and not hurting others. So when I see people who go out and they just put others down, hurt others, I have a hard time wanting to relate and connect. And sometimes I have friends or people in life that I just shut out because I felt
suggestion of this?
When you say politically correct, that means not directly telling them what you're feeling or something like that, or what?
No, just consider it. Consider it of how things might sound before you say it. Being conscientious. Thinking about the other person's feelings before you might say something.
Is there a point where you like spend less energy on somebody, like in your case, like it's like can you still be compassionate but like less so? Does that make sense? I don't know, like it's like so like I don't know, yeah, there's somebody in your life that you just you get to that point where you just want to cut them out. Is there like I guess, I'm just purely curious if there is like a point where you can still be compassionate and like kind, but also not expend like needless energy trying to be compassionate and kind and like helping relieve that suffering.
Anybody?
Well, I think that by cutting people out completely, sometimes you're not helping them or yourself. And I think if you become an example, you don't need to, let's say, remove their number or delete their text. Sometimes you can just ignore that and let that go. And by showing compassion over and over, maybe they will learn something along the way, and you can end up helping them by having just being that solid, compassionate person instead of saying, I don't need your negativity and walking away. So sometimes you can, by giving of yourself and by, you can still block certain things out. I think that you have the ability to help as an example.
There's some people in life who will constantly put it down. And so it feels like no matter how hard you try, you can try to tell them, you can try to be there with them, but they will continue to try to compete or do other things to try to bring you down so they can bring themselves up. And that's when I feel like I don't have much energy or use for that kind of, I don't know, just not being considerate.
Anybody else? Any suggestion?
I believe the Dhammapada suggested that in many circumstances it was okay to cut somebody off like that. Somebody who's very negative influence on your life. It was the chapter that was talking about the elephant in the forest and how you had to be careful about who you had for acquaintances.
Yes. Yes, good.
I don't know if this would, how it would relate to Buddhism, but in some instances, I guess, somewhere else I've learned about is detaching love. If you could kind of broaden that out to detachment, loving, kindness, compassion, and not everyone can connect to that. So you can't go to the hardware store for milk. So if you go looking for something in another person of acceptance, love, validation, they can't give it to you. It's like you hit your head against the wall over and over again, expecting something different to come out of it. So I have an in-law who has recently asked us for money, and he's done this over all the time, all the years I've been married to my husband, and we've given him money and tried to help him, and he's never enough, he never pays us back. Now he's homeless. Like, to me, there's no way to help him. I can't rescue him, I can't fix him. So to me, that thing is just the no contact. He's got to figure it out, the cause and effect. He's had lots and lots of chances, and he's not taking the chances. So his cause and effect is where it's at. And I don't it affects my serenity, my peace, to try to think, I gotta fix them, or rescue them, but it will never be enough. I don't know if that, make me vulnerable to say that stuff, sorry.
It's good to share. So what do you do about it?
No contact. Nothing, I guess from listening to everybody tonight is the best thing I can do is just the loving compassion of wishing, that he awakens to the light of his true nature, that pray for happiness, health, peace, safety, and freedom. So I try to say, when I get around to it, I try to do that for a lot of people, and I don't know what else I can do. I can't fix them, I can't rescue them. I can send peace thoughts or love, kindness thoughts to them, but if he showed up on my doorstep, I don't know what I'd do. It's like, oh no.
Did he ever show up?
What?
Did he ever show up on your door?
No, he's in Texas right now, but he could. Get a bus and come up here. But yeah. And some people are not, some people are, I think he's mentally ill himself.
I think no matter how hard you try or how much you want to change somebody's karma, there's nothing you can do about somebody else's karma.
Yeah, they've got to be.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything to share?
I saw a YouTube video, there was a monk, and he seemed pretty good. And he was doing walking meditation.
He's singing.
I saw him.
You saw him.
I saw him on YouTube.
Okay.
Right, he was teaching
Mhm.
some of his practice. And he was teaching walking meditation.
Mhm.
And what he did is he was walking and walking meditation, and many times during his normal life, he would be thinking in his mind, he would say, stepping, stepping, stepping. And then when he came to a corner and he changed his direction,
Mhm.
he would think in his mind and kind of say to himself,
Mhm.
turning, turning. I just wondered if you had any thoughts about that.
Just practice. This is the way to practice. It's good. So whatever method you use, as long as you remind yourself, walking, standing, reclining, now sitting. So whatever method fit for you, you should try it.
I tried it, it does seem to work fine.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Just continue.
yeah. I just found it interesting. I would have never thought of that before.
Yes. That's only the step for beginner. Yes. Anybody else? Let's go ahead.
Well, I got a couple of questions about the Heart Sutra.
Mm-hmm.
When I was looking on YouTube for explanation of the Heart Sutra, there's a monk that does 28 lectures on it. And when he does the Heart Sutra, he says forms, feelings, conceptualization, volition, consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say forms, feelings, perceptions, impulses, and consciousness, so can you kind of explain the difference between perceptions and impulses, conceptualization and volition? I don't know what they mean exactly.
Usually we have form, feeling, perception. Perception, like when you see an object, then you appear in your mind, you perceive it as perception. Right? Like I see a camera, that's perception. And impulses, like tonight I sit, I remember that camera, I review the camera, is it black, white, So like impulses that implant in your memory and perception you sitting right now. This is black, white, iPhone, Samsung, and I begin to discrimination. That's perception in that moment. But impulses is like you already implant, you record inside your consciousness. So tonight you go back and sit, and then that camera arrives, and then you remember her. And sometimes you add some more, or you subtract less from the camera. You see that?
Those perceptions like judgment, just
Yeah, judgment, discrimination, contract, compare and contrast. And impulses, tonight you sit, and then the thought arises, then you begin to judge.
so memory or that you add on to the story.
Sometimes we call it a memory, because it's memory we store in whatever we see, we taste, we hear, we store it in our consciousness. And when we sit, calm mind is arise. Then from that point, we begin to judge from our thought. Just like there's a thought in our mind, then we begin to discrimination. So that is impulses when you continue on through your inner world. But perception is right now the inner worlds and the outer worlds is compare and contrast right now in this moment. You see that? So form, feeling, perception, impulses. Impulses is deeper than perception. And then consciousness. Consciousness is where you distinguish deeply, compare and contrast. And you store into, and then we go to the different what we call alaya. The stores memory. Like we have a computer, right? We have a stores memory. And then we try to delete. But actually we are not deleting. We delete, we put in recycle bin. But we forgot to empty our recycle bin, and then it's still there. So when you put delete, and then it's in recycle, and then you have to, in the recycle, you have to delete the recycle to recycle bin. Then completely out. But now our thought arises, we try to delete, but we still in that recycle bin, and then sometimes it's coming back. Our minds work like a computer. So whatever we see, we hear, we taste, is implanted in our thoughts. That's why sometimes when we rebirth, we have seen the thing that not in this life, but probably in the past life.
No delete button.
This depends on how you delete. If you know how to delete,
Meditation.
yeah, meditation helps you delete everything. Sometimes meditation you don't know how to delete this, you just revealing and you add more. So that's why we have to find method that able to delete. Actually delete is not delete, it's transform, because nothing in this world you delete. Where can you delete it go? It's part of your mind. It's like the wave in the ocean, or the bubble. Where do you throw the bubble? The bubble is part of your water. Right? The wave is water, the bubble is water. All we have to do is transform ourselves. When we see the world, because all the things you do in the world, actually where do you delete? It's like the trash can, the recycle. When you use this trash, where do you throw away? There's nowhere to throw away. It's still in this world. All you need is to recycle, reuse. So our thought is the same thing. When we say the term delete, is not actually it's gone. It just transformed to the positive form. It's like less and less become water. It's like the bubble become water, the wave become water. That's why the true nature of thought is the waking nature. Vô minh tật tánh, tất Phật tánh. Means the delusion thought. Nature is the awakened nature. You have to go ahead and think about it. Yes.
So let's say you're more quiet in nature, or just more somebody that doesn't really talk a whole lot. It's
Mhm.
easier for you to meditate and be quiet, away from so many people. But let's say that you are in the middle of a busy crowd, and you want to practice more of those mindfulness meditation techniques, but you're not an extremely social person. How can you bring that meditative, that quiet state of mind towards your social interactions with others?
Sometimes we need, for beginner, we need a time for ourselves. Because during your social, if you awareness, you understand what happened, that is meditation already. But if that's too strong for you, too distract, sometimes we need time for ourselves. Right? Because in life, we cannot stay away from ever. We cannot go to the moon and live by ourselves. We are social animals. Right? So during social, we have mindfulness, we know what's right, what's wrong. And sometimes we need a quiet time for us, 2 or 3 hours. We have 24 hours, that's a lot. We can spend 8 or 10 hours with our children, our family, but the other 12 hours, we have ourselves. Sometimes we say we don't have time to practice, actually we have a lot of time. During you go to the restroom, that's a time for your quiet time. You can sit there and meditate, or during your shower, you take a bath, 20 or 30 minutes, that's your quiet time there. Right? Nobody around. Or during your sleep, before you sleep. Right? So we have a lot of time. When we look through it, we have a lot of time for ourselves. Right? So sometimes we need a time for ourselves to reflect back, to see what we did the whole day. Is this right? Is it wrong? What I need to do next day to be better. That's why for us Buddhist monks, we have meditation every morning and every evening. So more time for us to reflect back what we did today and what we need to do tomorrow to fix better, to be able to be there better. Being a worker or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. Before we go to sleep, we meditate, where we have to fix ourselves to be more relaxed, or what we need to do tomorrow better. Today I learned a lot of bad things. Now I have to see all this bad. I learned from bad thing, and I try to fix it. Good thing next tomorrow. That's why for a Buddhist practitioner, every time before we go to sleep, we just sit 15 or 20 minutes. That's all, to reflect back what I did today, what I did wrong, and to see and to fix it. And then before you go to work, you can sit 5, 10 minutes. Or during your driving, you can sit meditation on driving. Awareness of driving and see anything. Most of us go to the bus. So meditation is everywhere. It's not just sitting. During driving, talking, social with your children, playing with your children. That's meditation. Most of us, we spend a lot of time sitting in the restroom, take a shower, sleeping. That's a good place for meditating, for outside. Nobody go restroom with you, right? You can sit here 20 minutes and meditate. Or shower, at least 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, take a bath. Just relax and meditate. So we have a lot of time. So don't blame, I don't have time. I work, take care of my children, my husband, too much time. Actually, you have a lot of time. By whatever you do, you practice. Yes.
A couple of days ago,
think we have ghosts in our house.
Ghosts in the house.
Yes. And he had a kid, he's 40 years old.
You're afraid of ghosts.
Yeah, I said, where are your ghosts? We have a Buddha in the house. So how would a ghost can get here? He said, Mom, maybe good ghosts.
Good ghosts.
So I told him maybe you delusion, you should meditate before you go to sleep.
Must be the dog.
And now he see the ghost in the house.
Did he see something?
I don't know because when nighttime, I don't close all the curtains. I just leave open because I know nobody can go up there. I don't know what he see, but he keeps saying, we have ghosts in the house, right?
Yeah, I think he just,
How did you see
he
ghosts?
just hears something,
Ah,
he might hear something and,
seeing something. How
Perception.
was the house?
yeah.
Yeah, I say, we have Buddha in the house, how can ghosts get in here?
Inside yourself is ghosts already. Your thinking mind is ghosts.
I think so. I think
Your
delusion.
thinking mind try to fool you.
Mhm.
Tell him you come to temple more.
That's what I told him. Come with us.
Right on.
So the ghosts can stay away. This your first time here?
Yes.
What's your name?
Opportunity.
Okay. This is your first time, right?
Yes.
Have you studied meditation?
Not really.
Okay. That's practicing. That's good.
Trying to learn.
Okay, that's good. So how your bonsai doing?
They're
That's
good.
good.
Yeah. We just got a bunch of indoor bonsai, so that's fun. But yeah, the outdoor ones, we also got a few new ones, so it's
Okay.
nice to sit with them and yeah.
So Kat, she work in the Northwest Bonsai over here. If you like bonsai, go.
Yeah, come visit me. It's in Tukwila. So yeah, bonsai.
She can show you how to trim the
Yes.
bonsai.
Trimming, pruning it soon, repotting season, so at the end of next month, we'll be repotting all the pines and junipers, so it's
You
gonna
can come and
be,
learn.
yeah.
Is that on West Valley Highway?
What was that?
Is that on West Valley Highway?
It's off of South 144th. Yeah.
It's
and-
South Central Mall.
Yeah,
It's right by.
yeah, by South Center Mall. Yeah. Yeah, there's only a few bonsai places in this area, so it's the only one in Tukwila. So if you come, yeah, she was there. So it's awesome, and I would love to see everybody. It'd be so
Okay,
fun.
if you have time, come volunteer the timber.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. It's right before pruning season's over. I can put them
Yeah.
up, and then
You can come
You're-
cut some bonsai and decorate around here so people can
Yeah.
see and come to your place and buy stuff.
yes. Did you find a pot for which? And maybe you can show me the one that you're looking for a pot for.
Okay, probably tomorrow I will try by your place again
Okay. Yeah.
to see some of the pot. Because I want to put some of the Bodhi tree inside.
The what kind of tree?
It's called Bodhi tree, the enlightenment tree.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So I have to find a special one.
A perfect pot. Yes. Well, if there's not one at the nursery, I'm sure there's.
But you can order, right?
What was that?
We can order
Yeah.
the place. Do you have the catalog or the pot?
I can talk to my boss. He'll be in
Okay.
tomorrow, so I can talk to him about ordering stuff. See
Okay.
what that's all about. Yeah.
Okay, anybody else got it?
Yeah, back to Heidi's question. You were asking how, in a social interaction, you would apply more Buddhist practice and meditation and calmness.
Yeah, especially if the people you're around are not respectful. You know, if they're not respecting you and you're trying to be patient and calm and considerate.
Is this your worker, your family member?
Oh yeah, just different places. family, work. Could be like, I don't know, I'm just very conscientious of certain things.
Just
So
don't people annoy you?
sometimes, especially if I try to tell them how I feel, and I try to give them the utmost respect, and then I feel like they're not being very conscientious or considerate. And sometimes there's people that get together in groups, and I've always kind of just been on the outside of it, certain people, because I don't want to engage in, negativity. So I kind of have a tendency to isolate myself from people who are not so positive in that environment. So, yeah, sometimes I have a hard time incorporating that peaceful, mindful spirit towards people I feel like are not being considerate, especially if there's groups of people.
Like they have a lot of negative energy. So Daniel, what's your suggestion?
Well, my only suggestions would be maybe to focus on your breathing a little still when you're in that kind of interaction. And don't react real quick. So maybe if you have a thought that goes through your mind, give it a while and maybe it'll just pass. Because for myself, if I say something too quickly, then it might cause the wrong effect. And not to get angry. I don't think it almost ever helps to get angry. Sometimes I do, but that doesn't help. And maybe instead of telling them what you're thinking, maybe ask them a question about something that's related to it. And maybe that'll get them to think about it more internally. Just my thoughts.
I guess sometimes I doubt people because I observe what's around me and I act calm and considerate.
When you tell them, are you smiling or you just grumpy?
Oh no, I'm just calm and considerate of people, and then I try to be pleasant. But then if I feel like other people are trying to, like as an example, if other people are making fun of other people, or gossip, or getting engaged in other things that are kind of more cruel in nature, I have a tendency to want to isolate, kind of walk away from that. I don't really want to engage. I do deep breathing techniques. I stay calm in the moment. But I think to myself that these are people I don't really want to get involved with or engaged in. So I have a tendency to be on the outskirts of it. But sometimes I get a little bit frustrated with something that people do or say.
I'm kind of similar to you, I think, in that way, that normally I try to be kind of straightforward and I'm not going to be making fun of somebody else or anything like that. But I think the majority of the people, perhaps, they like that kind of banter. They like to kind of tease each other, and it's okay, because they're just doing that, to kind of fill the time in a way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Today, I was talking with two of my neighbors, and they were doing that. They were saying some things that were something I would never say. But that's how they like to talk. So I didn't let it bother me.
I'm talking more about how they don't maybe do their job, don't come in at a certain time, don't expect me to pick up the pieces, and I don't, and I walk away.
That's different, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of when I feel kind of, I don't know, I have a hard time being patient in that kind of situations.
That's why in the Sutra, the Buddha said that you should, for beginner, you should stay away all those stuff as possible. Usually people are gossip or people are doing bad things, you should stay away because right now your mind is weak. You are like a baby, you don't want to get involved. So try to be small. what group you need to play. That's why one of the sutras say you have to pick people to play, friends to play. A friend that leads you to goodness, good karma, very good karma, good behavior, you just play with him. If a friend that brings you bad karma, bad behavior, you should stay away.
I'm very conscientious of that.
Yeah, so you have to be careful what we choose, because we have the right to choose what good and what bad. Sometimes we have to distance ourselves from other people because they have too much negative energy.
That's right.
Yeah, if we have not enough positive energy to transform them, they will bring a lot of negative energy.
Yeah, that's what I try doing. I don't know how else to be considerate or, I just am very conscientious of who I develop connections with.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very considerate, and maybe they're okay with the way things are, and maybe you're the one who suffers, perhaps, because then you have to try to be considerate to them when it's difficult.
Michael, you have a comment?
I was gonna just suggest that I feel like I can relate to you too, and I find that a lot of people are frustrated. And I have a difficult time being patient with them. But I've found over time as I've come here more and continue to come to the classes on Wednesday, I'm able to have more patience, and as I've meditated more, it's helped me a lot, reducing the frustration of people. And there's a lot of positive energy here. And I think that just helps me. I feel like it kind of rejuvenates me, and especially after a hard day or a hard week at work and stuff, and dealing with a lot of challenging people that aren't always completely pleasant, and but coming here, I feel like then I can step out and it's like a new day, and I have energy and patience that I can get me through the week again.
Okay, anybody else? Comment, question?
Yeah, back to Kathy's question. I also find the terminology about the five skandhas confusing sometimes because in different sources it's phrased differently. And also I think I have a misunderstanding, and I wanted to ask you about that misunderstanding maybe that I have. So the final skandha is consciousness. And I thought what that meant was basically that you're not asleep. So if you hear me out, so you start with form. So like for my eye, the form is simply the physical eye. It's all the structures, the biology there. And then if you have your eyes closed or if you're asleep, well, you're not going to see anything. So I thought when it said consciousness, that it was referring to that you were kind of awake and that you weren't sleeping. But I think maybe you're saying it's different.
There's two types of consciousness. The consciousness I talk about in the hot sutra, I talk about the E, it means the monkey mind.
Say that again?
The consciousness we talk about in the hot sutra is the monkey mind.
One of the five skandhas.
Yes.
Is the monkey mind. The monkey mind,
It's like when you're sleeping, you close your eye, you still see, but you see darkness. Your see is always there.
well,
So the subconsciousness is awakening. So we divide our consciousness and subconsciousness. So the subconsciousness is awakening, but the consciousness is always thinking.
I thought when it was talking about consciousness, for example, if you're in a coma, you can't see anything. Your
Yes,
eyes
you still have seen, but you still see in darkness. Because your mind is still there. It's like the light and the ball. The ball is like your eye, the light is still always there. A person who is conscious, they can see, but with darkness.
All right, so explain again in the 5 skandhas what consciousness means, and I'll try.
So this is talk about the form, feeling, perception, impulses, and consciousness. Sắc, thọ, tưởng, hành, thức. Thức is consciousness. It's always thinking about. It's like your monkey mind. It's something that you store inside now, right? Everything is arising and rising. So consciousness here is not the other consciousness. It's the consciousness here. You talk about when you see something, you store inside, and then pop it out. It's coming out, and then you compare and contrast.
And then it comes out.
Yes. So like when you sit meditation, a lot of thought from the past is coming out. So that is the consciousness. It's about the arising of thought, come and goes. And the subconsciousness we talk about is always awakening. That's what we call subconsciousness.
I'll look into it more. Yeah,
Okay.
I had a misunderstanding about that.
So different people explain differently, because when we divide out this consciousness and subconsciousness, so your understanding is your subconsciousness, not the consciousness.
All right,
Okay. So we have to see that.
thank you.
Okay. So sometimes we have to different translation have different meaning. They explain different meaning because sometimes we cannot use the English term and language to describe. So that's why we say consonant and it's subconscious. And some people just explain this consonants, the whole thing. But
So-
all the things is just the mind.
So when she referenced volition, would volition be your subconsciousness then?
Volition is like impulses.
It's like what?
Impulses.
Impulsive volition? I
Yeah.
thought it was your intention.
Your intention is different. So different translate different things. It's like when we recite the Sutra, form, feeling, perception, impulses, and consciousness. Other translation are form, feeling, perception, volition. So sometimes the language is very difficult. So don't 100% believe in the language. So you have to go and use the Indian, the Pali language is better. It's like suffering. When we translate dukkha as suffering, suffering is not right. We just use the term suffering. What is physical suffering? Is mental suffering? Is constant suffering? Sometimes we have to go deeply with the Pali word instead of just the English, because sometimes the English word does not tell the whole thing, tell the whole story. So make sure to go to a dictionary and define out each meaning. Right. That's why we have to how to understand, because sometimes this person explain like this, the other person explain like that, but they use different language. Just like we say about mind, right? In general, we know the mind, but this monkey mind is a true mind. But actually, there's no monkey mind, there's no true mind. It's called mind. Because we divide out for people who have no enlightenment yet. But people with enlightenment, if you take the mind, there's only one mind. Monkey mind, because we forgot our true nature, that's why we say it's monkey mind. When you enlightenment, we don't say monkey mind or enlightenment anymore. It's like dark and light. There's no dark and light. You see that? So sometimes the language is complicated. So that's why in the sutras, the Buddha say, don't forget the language and understand the meaning. One of the term. You have to understand the meaning, not the language. Because sometimes the thing that cannot describe it, you cannot use language to describe it. Because language is terrible. That's like our true nature. We cannot use a language to describe our true nature. Because true nature has formless. Sometimes the hot sutra is very difficult. That's why one of the Zen master, he spent 30 years to able to practice and to understand. That means today you understand like this, but tomorrow when you enlightenment, you understand differently. There's 52 stages of enlightenment. So each time you enlightenment, you understand differently. So today you understand volition or impulses, concept like this, but when you enlightenment, you understand differently. Because you have not tasted the juice, the food yet. We only use our, what we call the thinking mind to understand, not the non-thinking mind to understand. So that's why it's very difficult. Just like people who are color blind. I say it's purple. No, it's blue. Because they have color blind, right? So I see it's blue. Why you say it's purple? And then your guy get argument and fight. But both of them are blue, blind color, right? So sometimes it's difficult. It's like the elephant, the story about the elephant, the four blind men. And you heard the story about the elephant. One touched the leg and the other touch the tummy, and touch the elephant. Only the person who able to see the elephant, the whole thing. I mean the whole body goes. So each person have different wisdom, different understanding, right? Different views, different perspective. But when we achieve enlightenment, just like in Arahant, Buddha, we understand the same. But right now we are sentiment, we understand differently. Right? A children understand different from you. A first grade understand different from second, third, fourth, fifth. Adult is different.
Was the Heart Sutra originally done in Pali?
It's Sanskrit.
Sanskrit? And Avalokiteshvara, is that a Sanskrit name?
It's a Sanskrit name, yes.
Okay.
So when the Buddha passed away, there's two branches, the Sanskrit Sutra and there's Pali Sutra. So they divide out Mahayana and Theravada tradition.
The Mahayana is a Pali?
No, Sanskrit. The Theravada is Pali. That's why Thailand, Cambodian, Sri Lanka, they all recite, all Buddhists, they recite the same language like Pali. But Vietnam, Chinese, they recite their own language. It's like we recite our language, somebody don't understand. But in Theravada tradition, they all recite Pali. So every country understand. So the Thai monk, Cambodian monk, Sri Lanka monk, they recite Pali, that's why they understand each other. But Vietnamese monk, Korean monk, Chinese monk, we don't understand each other because we recite our own language. So that's.
So what's the difference between Kuan Yin and Avalokiteshvara?
It's the same.
And,
This one of them is the Vietnamese name. Avalok is a Sanskrit name.
okay.
That's all. Yes, correct.
Did Pali, did that language, was that originally in India that it was spoken?
Yes, usually the Pali language is used for lower class. The language is like the higher, the king and the richer, the monks. It's like in India they have two languages. Like local people, lower class, they use different language. Higher, richer, they use different kind of language.
And now is Pali spoken
For local.
anywhere? Still today, is it spoken in India?
No, right now they spoke Hindu.
Yeah.
Hindi.
So is Pali only spoken then mostly by monks that are in the
No, it's like 2,000 years ago they used Pali.
Oh, but not now.
I think they use now, but Pali.
Very little.
Yeah. So it's like language. It's like Vietnamese. Usually we use like Chinese character. Right now we use alphabet. So 2,000 change.
Right.
So.
I have the same question.
So two times people change language. And usually in Vietnam, it's a small country, but the south, the center, the north, they speak it differently. And in the south, there's many local groups that speak different language. So it's very hard to understand. A small country like that is many language, many accents. Just like in the United States, we have the New Yorker and Texas, and the Eastern, the West, they speak differently. Sometimes the words are hard to understand. So Vietnamese is a very small country, but if you go from the south, you go to the center, when they speak, you don't understand. Or you go to the north, and then you go to a local village, they speak different language too. They speak the same, but the accent is different. So sometimes it's difficult. So like in the United States, usually they have Indian, is each tribe, they speak differently, right? It's village, each tribe, they speak differently. But some they have international language, but some they have their own local language too. So we are human are complicated. That's why today everybody use English. It's easy, right? Every country they use English. That's why when the Buddha enlightenment, he speaks just one language that all humans can able to understand. So you don't have to learn thousands of languages.
And what language was that?
He just speak Pali or Sanskrit, and the animals, kingdom, the king, the heaven, or whatever language you speak, you just automatically understand. Because he have that, achieve that level.
That would help me on Sundays here.
Yes.
Speaking of Sundays, I've been attending the meditation at 8 o'clock and as much as possible, and
Mhm.
it's been very beneficial, and
That's good.
a lot of wisdom in the room, and a lot of generosity and compassion.
Because you're lucky you live close to here.
Yeah,
People
very
are
lucky.
far away, so.
It's really, I appreciate living so close. In the beginning, there's chanting, and a little bit at the end, and I'm just wondering what,
It's the same that English we chant.
it's the same.
Yes. Just the whole sutra and the praying.
And they repeat it multiple times?
3 times.
3 times.
Usually Vietnamese we repeat 3 times, so we expand the time. If one time is too quick.
Yeah, we have the pink book that's on Sunday.
Yeah, we have an English and Vietnamese version. Just the English and
Pink one?
Yeah, the
Okay.
pink one has the Vietnamese on the left, if you want to read along, if you want to learn how to speak Vietnamese, and the English is on the right side.
Okay.
The pink book ones.
I've always ended up with the white one.
Yeah.
There's on top is English and there's Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and then at lunchtime, the pamphlets or the sheets towards the window with the
English and Vietnamese, yeah.
yeah, they'll have a translation there too, with the Heart Sutra and what we're saying before we eat. Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any question, comment? No more? Okay. We'll let you go, so try to relax. Okay, thank you. Enjoy your wonderful holiday. Enjoy me safely. Labor Day. Try safe. You saw your leg before you stand up.